Since I recorded with you.
It's been a while since Rob was sitting here on this little couch that is way too small for him.
It's been a while since I got my check from Putin.
Yeah, so I have it on. It's recording. So
Thank you. All right,
so we just hop right into this.
let's do it.
Yeah, hey, welcome to the corner, Späti. Today is Kieran is not here because family bullshit. I guess.
Fuck Kieran.
Yeah, fuck Kieran.
Yeah, that's right. I'm back.
Yeah, so Rob's back. I, myself, Nick, of course, here, if you did not already tell by my beautiful, wonderful timbre of voice that I have. And
He's wonderful. I meant it in a good way.
Yeah. Shut up.
It's a very assertive cadence. Like, you make everyone listen to you.
No, I fucking suck. And Yulia's here sitting.
Cadence.
Maybe she'll chime in, but for right now, she's just balling with us.
Yulia's what's it called in video games? Like you have to pay extra if you want to unlock everything. In the video
DLC.
game. Yeah, no, but there's something else. Like in
Loot crate.
No, we've really gone off the rails. What is it when it's like in apps that like you have to pay for every little
Microtransactions.
Yeah, exactly. Yulia's a microtransaction.
Yeah. Spend $5.99 and you get to hear Yulia's input on this episode.
Yeah, she's talking. You just won't hear it unless you pay $5.99. That's $5.99. One easy payment of $5.99.
Yeah, so Rob has been once again, as is very traditional on the pod so far, that he's just been destroying his brain for our amusement.
Yeah. Well, before I destroyed my brain, I've been traveling. I'm a very worldly fellow. I've been traveling Europe.
Yeah, got that sweet Putin money now, finally.
Yeah, so first things first, I was in Italy, as you told everybody. That blew my cover.
That episode never aired.
Yeah, I listened. It said I was in Italy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I was there. I was in Tuscany. I told everyone I was hiking, but actually I was closing on our Tuscan villa. The check came in from Putin. You know, he says we've been doing. I can't do a Russian accent. Been doing great work, getting excellent compromat in destabilizing Europe.
Cool, yeah.
And so, like any good leftist podcast, like any good champagne socialist, we need a luxurious mansion to podcast from. And now we have a wonderful villa in Tuscany.
I can't wait to see
Putin.
it. Yeah, thank you, Vladdy.
And thank you to Matteo for the connect. You know, it's really nice of him to set that up.
That sweet old Russian-Italian
friends
connect.
recognize friends, you know.
And you were in London too, weren't you? For also the same reason.
Yeah, you know, like I had to pay it. Like, I mean, it's a business transaction. Like he gives me the money, I go poison some expat Russians in London. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, and you get that sweet money, that sweet Russian money. So, but yeah, so Rob's been destroying his brain and destroying Russian operatives. And
went beast mode on some Russian operatives.
Yeah, and I don't know, Rob.
Ben Shapiro put cyanide in the left's argument.
So yeah, you found a new friend in the sphere of German op-ed-ing, whatever the
German ops.
German ops.
Well, they think they're doing ops. Yeah. So to just back up for a little bit, when we started this podcast, we thought about everyone, or I think a lot of people, even people in Europe, know who the dumb American op-ed writers are. Yeah. People know who's on the New York Times page because they see everyone dunking on them on Twitter. There's the ongoing Chapo joke that the Australian fans have to learn who John Podhoretz is. But it's good because they're uniquely something about writing an op-ed every week. Like whether it's the kind of people they attract or how it just like burns out your brain writing that every week. It's like a unique distillation of the horrors of our world and the pathologies of the world, as we're going to learn.
Yeah, you really have to be a special kind of dumb guy or gal in order to just convince yourself that your ideology is so pure that every week you can write the same fucking essay for a major publication without with one, everyone just belittling you on Twitter for writing the dumbest shit, and two, for you being like, yeah, well, you guys are all wrong. Like it is I who have the the knowledge and the skill to.
Well, I think the belittling on Twitter is a new thing because
yeah.
now the ones in the U.S. are like, we're under attack. Like, I don't feel safe.
We're under attack.
Because people send me, gifts. There's like 500 rose emojis in my reply sending me gifts. I don't feel safe right now. I shouldn't be alone. And then they slide into the DMs of some young, woman journalist for their newspaper. So in Germany, for example, I don't think they have to deal with that kind of attack. They're still very comfortable. They're still writing their shit every week. I've been checking out the replies of this person we're going to talk about, and it's just all Germans going like, another excellent breakdown from my hero. Like, keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
All men, like, without fail.
Yeah, unless you're German, you're not going to know who this big baller is. But I guess
you're going to have to learn about it. Much like John Podhoretz, we are going to spread this boy around the world.
Yeah, let's
go. The sun
go.
will never set on the recognition of his name. One Jan Fleischhauer.
So for anyone who does not speak German, Fleischhauer legitimately means meat beater.
Beat your meat.
Beat your meat.
He beats his meat every week, and you
Yeah.
have to read him beating his meat every single week. On Twitter, you have to read about him beating his meat to toxic femininity.
On his premium Snapchat, where it's just him literally beating his meat. But I think that's the most. Someone with the name like Jan Meatbeater, who is just an unapologetic racist, and in the sense of a racist that then's like normal in German politics, is just perfect. It's so fucking cool.
Yeah, I mean, the reason we're dedicating the whole episode to him is because he is a very central figure. He represents a lot of different intersections of what we try to get out on this show. The kind of like his whole personality, the way he's just, as we're going to get into, like
completely full of himself,
but also he doesn't have the like insane optimism of American op-ed writers.
Yeah.
Like, he has this snark that could like, is just a like paper thin mask that underneath it is just like fascism.
Yeah, straight up. His whole
which represents Europe. That's what we're trying to tell you.
And the thing that then
listen to us.
The thing that's so funny with him is that like he always kind of justifies this with an autobiographical sense of like, I grew up in a social democratic family who was like, a product of the 60s.
He has a lot of problems with his mom.
Yeah. And he uses that to then kind of prove that like, oh, well, the left, like, they don't have their shit together because they actually hate the West and they hate Europe and they hate their own people.
Yeah. So I like, and people even ask like, who's the David Brooks of Germany? Who's the Meghan McArdle of Germany?
You can't compare it.
You can't quite compare it. There are elements of each. We're going to break down the similarities, but this guy, Jan Fleischhauer, is unique. He doesn't, like I said before, he doesn't have the optimism of a David Brooks or Thomas Friedman, because no matter how dumb they are, they have this kind of golden retriever mindset where Thomas Friedman, on some level, really thinks that like he's trying hard. He's like, I'm gonna come up with this theory about the 4 different kinds with the pies. Did you see that one recently? Like,
yeah.
It, like, he's trying to do something, and David Brooks is dumb, but also like he like ends his essays with some like, and this is what it means to be the American spirit. While Jan Fleischhauer is just like this like above it all snark, as we're gonna get into, that like from one sentence like 90% of the articles of the op-ed is above it all snark, and then 10% is just like wilding the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've only read like 1 or 2 of his pieces.
I'm gonna inundate you. I have like 10 articles for us. We're just gonna go through like the best way to understand this guy is just like bits and pieces. You can't stare at it too long, or else you will like your face will melt like the Nazis and Raiders of the Lost Ark. So you just gotta like keep it moving.
So yeah, what do you want to start with? Because my favorite one is the one that then you want to reserve for last.
Yeah,
which is also my favorite one. Is the only one that I fully have read.
We have to introduce him. So, the boy, Jan Meatbeater, he writes for Der Spiegel.
Also too, like Der Spiegel for the longest time has tried to like market itself as being like a center left. I would put it on like the tabloid category, but it is like a serious political magazine. They have done pretty decent journalistic work, especially when it comes to like whistleblower stuff. They're really big about that. But all in all, they are Again, another German reference, unfortunately, but they're like the Bild for students, and Bild is like a right wing, the center right wing, actual
Bild
tabloid.
is like the New York Post.
Yeah. Bild is the New York Post that then like up until 3 or 4 years ago would just have like tits on the cover, and would like. They always have these massive, like, Breitbart like headlines still today. That's like migrant murders child in Berlin or something like that. So Spiegel is like a university version of that. It's still horribly reactionary, pretends that it isn't, and then employs these dipshits to like write these just garbage. Just straight up fucking garbage.
Yeah, he's been with it for his whole journalistic career since 1989 or something. He lived in New York City and wrote for them there. But it's really his return to Germany, I think in 2009 or something, that he's really like found his mold as this conservative op-ed writer. He's written 3 books since then, and he's kind of a voice for a certain German, older German white male who sees himself as snarky and like smarter than these like esoteric left-wing like woman Antifa students. Like they're just so dumb, and like I just have to be snarky and tell them what's going on.
If you study business or law in Germany, this is your motherfucking guy.
He doesn't say facts and logic because that's not the same. Like it's just a different cultural.
It's not nearly as
situation.
flashy as American conservatism. American conservatism has gotten very good at marketing their message, but Germany always has this tradition of trying to like pretend to be like very, very, very academic and very like, what Ben Shapiro wishes that he was just like cold hard facts. The German conservatives like kind of do that better.
I do think that he's like a more effective Ben Shapiro in some ways,
because he can actually read statistics. Unlike
and
Ben
his writing
Shapiro.
is like snappy in a dumb way.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro just can't write. Like straight up.
Or do anything.
Yeah, his fucking dad has to write op-eds for him to be like, I'm defending my son. And then he has a fucking pseudonym that he goes under too.
Wait, what?
Ben Shapiro got, like, if you ever notice this, whenever Ben Shapiro gets like in a big controversy, there's an article that'll always appear in the Daily Wire that's written by a different person every time. But it's his dad.
But he owns the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, right? He's the editor-in-chief or something.
Yeah, but his dad's the main.
And he employs his dad?
His dad writes defense pieces for him, but under a different name every single time.
I had no idea.
Yeah. It's really fucking cool.
Well, the comparison...
I wish my dad would do that for me when I say dumb shit. Yo, Dad, come on the pod.
That feel when my dad won't write op-eds defending me on Twitter from the Antifa hordes.
Yeah, so let's get into this because...
Yeah. Well, before we get into it, I do want to say the comparison to Ben Shapiro is very fruitful, as we'll learn. I mean, if you've read Ben Shapiro's book and know his thoughts about certain bear men and his sexual pathologies.
Is this that True Allegiance book or whatever?
There's some connection to Jan Fleischhauer. And like Ben Shapiro, it's just all out there waiting for you to just read it, and you're just stuck with the guy. All right. So like I said, he's written 3 books. So his first book was published in 2009. And this is really, I mean, when I do the research, this is really when he blew up on the scene. I wasn't living in Germany in 2009 or before. I don't know that much before.
This is his like Take Care mixtape thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just much like Take Care, he has similar emotions about family, women. Yeah. So his first book is called, let me get the exact title. It's called Unter Linken, which means like among the left, for all you Yankees out there.
Or anyone else who just doesn't speak German. It's a fucking horrible language.
From one who accidentally became conservative.
Uh-oh.
The whole book, I didn't read it. I think we might need to do a reading series on it with the full squad, because I think, it says a lot. There's a lot going on, as one says, with this book and with Jan Fleischhauer. But the gist of it is like a memoir or talking about his upbringing. And he was born in, I think, 1962. And so he talks about the 60s movement and the change in Germany, and especially his mother. And his mother is very alternative and left-wing, and how she represents a changing Germany. and how he like became a conservative out of a reaction to that, and all of his problems with this certain like cosmopolitan 1968 left-wing German mindset. But
German mindset sounds so horrible.
Jan Fleischhauer has a strong case of German mindset.
Oh God, yeah.
And like as some people pointed out, like just you can read it on the Wikipedia. Some people are like, he says he presents conservatism as this big like countercultural thing, but he's just continuing the like norm in German politics since 1945, since before that. He's not really like, I mean, he's one of these guys who's like, yeah, the left made me do this, when he's really just like a reactionary. He's always had a reactionary mindset, and he's just trying to justify it. But he's obsessed with the left. He's obsessed with women, and he's obsessed with the choices his mom made and the way his mom raised him, which is, it's going to be a recurring theme. So keep that in mind. And then so like I said, that's how he burst onto the scene. His second book was just a collection of his essays. He's wrote in Der Spiegel. Like I said, he's had a column for a long time now. He wrote a blog called The Axis of Good.
Oh, fuck off.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Can you use that word in German and like not be just not be fash?
So another thing, before he wrote that second book, which was just a collection of his essays from his op-ed, because like all op-ed writers, he's inherently very lazy and can only do one thing. He had a documentary published by Der Spiegel, where he kind of fashions himself a right-wing Michael Moore. So what he does, he was living in Berlin at the time, and he'll just go up to like kind of like kindly old German green politicians who like want to ban McDonald's from their Kreuzberg neighborhood, and owns them with logic. Like, do you see the pommes at this like local mom and pop imbiss are just as unhealthy as McDonald's? Like, and then just like watches him as he like eats the French fry. What I really want to talk about is his third book. I'm gonna read you the title, and I want you to guess what it's about.
Okay.
So you know his first two books.
Okay, go.
Okay. Alles ist besser als noch ein Tag mit dir. Anything is better than another day with you.
Is this all right? Wait.
I can give you a hint.
His hoe cheated on him.
Well, I don't know, but it's an autobiography with a literary flair. The second half of the title is a book about love, its end, and life afterwards.
Okay, I'm kind of right.
Yes,
then.
he wrote a whole book about his divorce.
Oh, okay, yeah. Damn, like that's a brutal title for.
He is just the purest distillation of a conservative op-ed writer. Like he writes about he's really has tons of sexual pathologies. He wrote a whole book about about his divorce and how his wife like doesn't love him anymore. Yeah, it's sad.
I mean, I wouldn't love him either, but
yeah. So reading that book might be another one of our reading series.
You really like this guy, don't you?
I am so tortured by reading this shit, and now I'm ready to
even
share
end
it with
up on
you, the listener. Should we begin?
Yeah.
For the record, all of these are available online on Spiegel Online. There are even more behind. Like I almost got the Spiegel pre-subscription to read Toxic Femininity, where he just complains about all the women dropping kids off at kindergarten in their giant cars. I'm not lying. That's what the whole thing's about. He has a style where he starts with a story that's often like very hateful or like just sus, and then like turns it into a different point that also sucks. Like it's pretty masterful. And the first one I'm going to read for you is a good example of this style. It's close to our heart because it combines two things we love, or two things maybe we have a complicated relationship towards. That article is called. All right, I'm not going to read the German because I don't know. We do have a lot of German listeners. I'm going to read it in German then English.
Yeah, okay, do that, yeah.
Okay. The first article is Berlin, das Venezuela Deutschlands. That is
fuck off.
Berlin, the Venezuela of
Germany. Holy, what the fuck?
Like I said, he's okay. You can't call Jan Fleischhauer. He knows. Like, I think he seems pretty well read and pretty intelligent. That's what makes him. That's what makes him all the more fash because he's just like doesn't give a like. He's just like, he's like thinks like he. When I compared him to Ben Shapiro, he's like, if Ben Shapiro actually knew a little bit more, and then just like had this like cold, like angry, like core to him that was just ready to burst at any moment.
That's the thing that is I find much scarier with European conservatives is that they are like where conservatives go in the United States talking about all the dumb bullshit philosophy or whatever that they base their shit on.
Fucking Athens and Jerusalem.
Yeah, like that fucking Ben Shapiro thing. It's like they read the fucking Wikipedia page about these whatever the ideas are, or in Ben Shapiro's case they found out that Jerusalem and Athens are cities. And sorry, that entire time that whenever any conservative mentions like natural Greek rights, the only thing I can think about is pedophilia.
Which is what Ben Shapiro is defending.
Yeah. So, like, it doesn't hold any, like, the argument holds nothing with these people in the U.S., but in Europe, they're just fucking insane, and they have actually, they are also such nerds that they have kind of done the, like, I don't know, who is it? Like, was it Gorka or Bannon, who's like actually like pretty well read? One of them is just like,
I think it's Gorka because Bannon doesn't know shit. I mean, Bannon has read like 4 books that he always drops in interviews, like as Machiavelli and Sun Tzu once said.
Yeah, but like Gorka's actually but Gorka's fucking Hungarian, so it's that same shit.
Few know this, but Steve Bannon has this weird quirk that he wears as many shirts at the same time as books he's read. So he wears like 4 shirts because he's read 4 books. And like, I admire that like honesty.
But there's like in Europe, I always get the feeling that then like they're fucking horrible, but they can actually hold their own when it comes to like a discussion about like whatever topic it is. And I don't know, maybe it's me just thinking that Europeans are better at everything sometimes. But it is like genuinely frightening because I don't know, like Ben Shapiro will fucking talk about Marx and have no idea what he's talking about. Or like a conservative,
as Marx said about human nature.
Yeah, fucking Jordan Peterson has never cracked open any book of Marx. You just did Jordan Peterson.
I can't do it now. It's too much pressure.
I thought that was Jordan Peterson right there.
That was
when you hold your nose, it's Ben Shapiro.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Always.
I'm sorry. They both sound the same in your world.
I will not beat my meat. I'm not beating my meat. I will never beat my meat. Stop adding me about beating my meat.
Insert Game of Thrones memes. But yeah, is it comes down to like
exactly. Only America's just no fucking Game of Thrones, and that's it.
It's like for them, it'll be like conservatism mixed with like pop culture, where then like the Europeans will give you the like blood and soil nationalism with like the actual philosophy behind it that then is typically this like Jerusalem, Athens shit that then will back it up.
Well, it goes back to what I was just mentioning to you. Shout out the Antifada episode that had Matt Christman on it, because they, when introducing this book about fascism, I don't remember now, this French book for some crazy old French fascist, but the main difference between that and like the Turner Diaries, this American fascist book, is that the Turner Diaries is like psychotically optimistic. Like, we fucking did it. The white race is pure. We won. Everything you ever dreamed has come real. And that's the American optimism mindset. Whereas Europeans are very like the other book that they talked about is like white genocide happens and it's like the end of the world and everything's going to end. And it's this very like dark.
And that's what the right actually like in a lot of parties goes off on here is that then like and
it's what the right in America is increasingly, especially the new right is increasingly embracing.
I think is,
because this like psychotic settler mindset is run out in America.
And also just mixed completely with just like the alienation of capitalism has led people down the wrong road of you can point to things like European birth rates are decreasing, obviously.
I'm sure Jan Fleischhauer has an edit on that. His obsession with abortion is actually a little connected to that, because he knows the exact statistics of how many abortions happened in Germany this year and last year and the year before.
Yeah, but that all, I mean, like that does come down to yeah, I don't know, like there's just this like very like pessimistic white nationalist thing of like that we have to, preserve our culture and this and that from, yeah, I don't know.
Like I said, Berlin, this Venezuela of Germany.
Fucking oh god.
Okay.
Yeah, I've only seen the headline that you sent to me of this, and I thought it was so stupid that I couldn't even bother looking further into it because I was just gonna.
I do want to ask you, because maybe she knows the story he's referencing. Okay. It begins, and I just plugged it into Deep L, so it's a pretty good translation. A story from the big city. A man, writer, and former medical doctor who has been retired for a long time believes to have discovered discrepancies in the curriculum vitae of the spokeswoman of the city government. I'll jump ahead, but apparently this woman, I forget her name, in the Berlin parliament, she listed that she took 6 years, but it actually took 13 and studying somewhere, blah, 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 blah. Next paragraph. The man compiles his... Okay, before I get into the next paragraph, the story that we have set up is a writer and former doctor notices some problems, and like a good citizen, he's going to let someone know about this, that this woman's lying. Stop me when something seems amiss.
Okay.
The man compiles his research results in a 79-page dossier, which he sends to the mayor of the city and heads of the parliamentary groups.
What?
Represented in the House of Representatives. So we get a 79-page dossier sent to several people.
Wait,
as an author,
this just random concerned citizen just produces an 79-page dossier to.
As an author, this is all Jan Fleischhauer. This is the beautiful Jan Fleischhauer prose.
It's him.
No. As an author, he tends to use a strong language. The speaker, this woman, is referred to in his text as a flunko queen and a plappa maul. I don't know even how to translate that. Like a
Julia, how would you translate that?
Like a plappa maul.
She talks too much.
A blabbermouth.
So we have a 79-page document sent to several people going off on this woman in Berlin government. That is not particularly friendly. Again, back to Jan Fleischhauer. On the other hand, compared to what people say on the internet, this can be seen as a moderate expression of opinion. Not long after he has sent his pamphlet by post, the man is visited by the police. Early in the morning, 6 policemen stand at the door and demand access to his apartment. They confiscate computers and mobile phones, as well as printers, hard drives, and various USB sticks. I wonder why. Jans, I don't know how to say this name. Jans, how do you say Joachim in German?
What?
Joachim.
Joachim.
Okay, cool. Hans Joachim Lehmann, as the dossier writer is named, did not deal drugs or accept stolen goods. Okay, so now he's defending this guy, this just old reactionary man, which is it's not in every Jan Fleischhauer piece, but they kind of they come up later. Just some police officer in Bavaria sends him like a concerned letter, and then he's like, I got concerned mail from one of my readers, and then talks about it. So Jan Fleischhauer sees himself standing up for the very old, angry white German men, like this guy,
who decides just as a hobby to write a 79-page dossier.
Yeah, exactly. And so
what the fuck?
the police knock in his door. This is unjust. And what does Jan Fleischhauer have to say to defend him? Perhaps Lehmann should have dealt with drugs. Then he presumably would have spared a police visit. In Görlitzer Park, Berlin, there's Europe's largest open-air drug transshipment center without the police intervening. The city government wants it that way. So 4 paragraphs into a typical Jan Fleischhauer piece, what do we have so far? We have a reactionary old man. We have just attention, the mask is slipping, the fascism is coming out, where he just wants to murder all of the drug dealers in Görlitzer Park.
But has he been to Görlitzer Park? Görlitzer Park's pretty fucking
Yeah. He lived in Berlin for 10 years. He doesn't care. He just wants to kill them all.
Who goes to Görlitzer Park and is just pissed off by the drug dealers? I'm far more pissed off. Yeah, they're all they're. I have no problem with them. The people I really don't like are all the fucking hippies who slackline and shit. They suck.
You can't put your blanket down anywhere because all the trees have slack lines between them.
Yeah, it fucking sucks. Those people.
They throw their frisbees so far.
Yeah, the fucking drug dealers come to tell you that you're fucking looking sexy today and that do you want any drugs? Yeah, I mean, I don't need drugs, but I appreciate your compliments. So Jan Fleischhauer does not understand who the true enemies of the state are, which are hippies who fucking slackline. Yeah. Yo, Yulia, you're fucking dummy thick. Like, you're looking good.
Jan Fleischhauer does not think Yulia is dummy thick. He thinks old men who write 79-page dossiers are dummy thick. All right. So is Berlin, one can say. And then he just goes off about the regime of the red, green in Berlin.
Yeah, who does fucking nothing.
I'm not going to read everything. I'm not going to read everything.
Talk about a worthless fucking coalition here. You have a coalition of socialists and Greens who just passed. I know that we're gonna have a whole episode about housing in this fucking dumbass
Well,
city.
let's just get into it here. Because,
But
all right. Well, what he
holy
says.
shit.
Well, let me read it first.
No. Wait. First off, I have to fucking go off on this because last week the mayor of Berlin. Yeah.
Are you talking about the Jewish thing?
Both,
So
maybe?
many.
I don't know. The Jewish
so
thing
many
and
things.
yeah, so the fucking mayor of Berlin just like made it so that then like, oh yeah, you can speculate on rents even more. Like, why not? And that's from a fucking quote unquote, social democrat head of this dumbass city.
Well, okay, for backgrounds, a lot of our listeners probably know, but for those who don't, there's a movement right now. It's going to be up for a
referendum.
referendum. Yeah, sorry, I forget English. A referendum soon, and it's whether to expropriate the largest landlord, like the largest housing companies in Berlin, which is cool and pretty radical stuff, compared to the rest of the world. And the government, especially the red, green, the left wing. So red, green refers to the SPD, the like center left social democrats who suck, like most center left parties across Europe. The green across Europe fucking suck. And Die Linke, the left party, which most left wing parties across Europe are just like hopelessly irrelevant.
Yeah.
So that's the government in Berlin. The coalition between these three parties, and their reaction to this like upcoming referendum has been the mayor of Berlin, who's from the SPD, the center-left party, to be like, it's actually anti-Semitic to want to expropriate housing. That's what he said.
I know. Holy shit!
He's
because it would be the second time in German history that the Jews get their property taken away from them.
So this neoliberal dipshit, like, what does Jan Fleischhauer see when he looks at him? He sees the city has always had a certain wickedness compared with the arrogance of the metropolis. The mixture of incompetence, hubris, and arrogance that the Senate under Michael Müller displays is unique. Skipping ahead.
He's just.
If you're unlucky enough to be ruled by Michael Müller and his people, then it's best to take refuge in gallows humor. Or avoid private solutions.
What, like, for people like Mr. Meatbeater, Berlin is like a haven for him because he wants like all this conservative nonsense, and the city is actually far more conservative than people give it credit for. But what the fuck? Like, no.
So he goes on to talk about Aufstehen and the Wagenknecht and complain about Wagenknecht, and then he says this. Wagenknecht, the leader, still the leader, right?
No, she's not.
But she just stepped down, but they don't have a new person.
No, they don't, but yeah, still.
Okay. Wagenknecht.
Fucking dummy.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck. Wagenknecht, in contrast to many on the left, has recognized that the German welfare state cannot exist under the conditions of open borders. So I skipped like 3 paragraphs, and he's gone from wanting to kill all the drug dealers in Görlitzer Park to like complaining about open borders.
Yeah, but like
Jan Fleischhauer pivots quickly.
The thing that then I think is really interesting because like the Fash and like a very old version of leftism agrees on this borders thing, and I've had a discussion with Kieran about this like off air about. Because the Angela Nagel thing, that article that she wrote, that's a really old version of left-wing political economy, of that you improve your nation within itself. You can't invite everyone in, but you can invite people then in who are, downtrodden and this and that and that. But ultimately, and the thing that then, in an old version of leftism that I like about this idea is that it promotes international socialism. And if you have that, then it's actually kind of cool. So it's like, all right, we have borders currently within nations, but we're all fighting for a collective struggle for better workers' rights. However, the modern left kind of, who is still for this old argument, doesn't really have a leg to stand on because there isn't the Soviet Union anymore, simply put, because you don't have an organization that then is going out to promote international workers' rights, international socialist projects, this and that and that. So you end up actually like in a very, I don't know, kind of like a weird fash argument about it, of that borders in itself have to be then respected for our working class, and it can't really work in the 21st century because you don't have an international socialist movement. At least I don't think that we do. I could be wrong, but
For sure. No, I agree.
so I'm glad that Sarah Wagenknecht and Jan Meatbeater can
He
agree on
hates
this.
Sarah Wagenknecht. Again, maybe because she's a woman. That's probably the Occam's razor explanation.
But they agree on migration.
He doesn't give a fuck. He hates all women.
Well, true pimp.
He does really want to be like an irony like bro, but he just is deeply
Without
deeply
the irony
reactionary.
and just
without
deep-
the irony, just
Yeah.
to just say it and mean it completely. Yeah. All right, I'm moving on to the next one. That's pissing me off. I can't get into all of these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the headline to you. I'm going to read the headline and then like the
We're doing the quiz thing that Yulia did to me, and I got them all right?
yeah, sure.
Okay.
It's like the headline and then what is it called? The poll quote, or not the poll quote, the like two sentences under the
Okay,
headline.
yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to jump around. If something strikes our interest, we're going to go in depth. And I'm going to base it off of your reaction, what we
Okay.
should go in depth on. Here's just a sample from the mind of Jan Meatbeater.
That fucking
Learning
name.
from 68 means learning to win. The desire for provocation and creative protest. Today, the true heirs of 68 come from the right. Even movement veterans like Hania Langhans see it that way.
So he's
Conservative is the new punk rock.
Yeah, so he's either Prison Paul or he's Milo Yiannopoulos.
He is exactly like Prison Paul. I'm sure Prison Paul has thoughts. If he has ever met a girl at the park, they probably can agree on a lot.
But didn't Milo did that exact same argumentation when he went to Berkeley? As like, oh, they defended the free speech, but now conservatism is the free speech, and yet my free speech is being defended. Which then everyone forgets that he tried to out illegal immigrants and try to get them deported.
This is the
or whatever.
closest. I'm not going to pull it up. This is the closest that he gets like actual fascism, because in this article he says that like they were fighting the bourgeois order in 68 and now the right is fighting the bourgeois order, and I'm like, what do you want to replace the bourgeois order with from the right?
Wait, but that's the right isn't fighting the bourgeois order.
That's what he says they are. The right, like any fighting of the bourgeois order comes from the right, not the left, who are just like, oh, look at me, da, 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 I'm Antifa.
That's the whole thing with new conservatism.
Moving on.
Okay, that's actually the thing, like the whole thing with new conservatism and all the stuff, Kulturkampf, the 68, and I mean, like, look at Viktor Orban and all of them. They're all using that argument that they are fighting the bourgeoisie, they are fighting the neoliberalism, etc., etc. So, and they kind of like to try to create a new conservatism that is not comparable to conservatism we are used to, like the classic Republican Party, for
Yeah.
example. And
Yeah.
so
But-
makes sense.
But it's still like in the sense that too, regardless if they use that rhetoric, when push comes, I mean, not even when push comes to shove,
At any drop,
At
Jan
any
Fleischhauer's
drop,
ready
But
to go
literally.
off.
it is different to
It's different
conservatism
in-
we know
it's
from
different
the 50s,
in the rhetoric,
uh,
but then there's still a part of bourgeois capital.
they use they use a lot of stuff that is useful to them.
Yeah.
Like capital,
As
for
I've
example.
said this
But the
1,000
rhetoric
times over.
and stuff they want and stuff they do is not like what we're used
Yeah.
to in the 50s and stuff like that, or like the normal
Yeah.
conservatism, like the Bushes of
Yeah, I've said this a thousand times before, that the current right in most European countries are better leftists than the left
yeah,
are.
exactly. They use
Because they
policies for
mobilize
that.
they mobilize old left wing rhetoric,
Yeah,
which is good and works, but
yeah.
with such a fervor that the left can,
They want
for
to
whatever
connect-
reason. Maybe
they
it
want
may,
to connect to like a weird like narrative from
Yeah.
before conservatism in the 50s or something like that.
Yeah,
A lot of the times to old like fascism and stuff like that.
which
so.
they're cool with. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
But yeah, I don't know. Like I'm genuinely always amazed about, and Steve Bannon tried this in the U.S. Like kind of using these like, he always called himself a Leninist, and I always kind of found it like one
that's
part.
funny.
I always found it one part a joke, but then when you actually look at then his on the ground tactics, it wasn't actually all too far off. Like given he's not a Leninist obviously, but this idea of creating like a class consciousness around then one part that then's kind of, I don't want to say that it's true because it's like Steve Bannon's a racist piece of shit, but he at least realized the thing that like the left were harping on about for over 100 years, and realized some sense of oh, maybe they're right about that, but I need to just like implement a lot more anti-Semitism into this, or a lot more racism or whatever. And so you kind of get this like weird kind of like Strasserite sort of movement that then can be attributed to someone like Bannon or I don't know, Orban or any of these people then who kind of, I don't know, I hate the word populism, but like, yeah. It's just they're left-wing tactics not being used by the left simply.
Well, invoking the name of Lenin is popular for a lot of people who don't actually believe in Leninism, because a certain wing of DSA often says like, no, we like Lenin. Like,
I mean, I like Lenin
I'm getting
too.
messy AF on this right now. Okay, a certain like party that keeps changing its names. I don't even know what the fuck they're called, but they have the majority of seats on the National Political Committee in DSA. They like to say Lenin is really smart, but don't read State and Revolution, don't read Imperialism, the highest form of capitalism. Just read What is to be Done and Tactics of Social Democracy.
So they're all
that say to
neoliberals
knock on
then.
doors and talk to people. That's what Lenin was all about. Like, their reading of Lenin's basically the same as Steve Bannon's.
Yeah, I mean, because like you can read Lenin and become a neoliberal. Like
they did.
Yeah, like you have that with a lot of Marxist-Leninist parties. Like for example, in like South Africa right now or something, that they're just like, yeah, we need neoliberal capitalism because Lenin said so. It's like, this wasn't around when Lenin was alive, but okay.
We going in, fam. Woo! Moving on.
God damn! Why are you doing this to me?
Okay.
Yulia's a smart one here,
What was
only
interest-
chiming in when it's like absolutely necessary.
What was interesting about what we were just talking about is that Jan Fleischhauer kind of diagnoses a certain trend on the new right. That the new right is the new punk rock.
Being cool,
But Jan Fleischhauer
telling
is
your mom to fuck off.
always at a distance from it. Jan Fleischhauer loves telling his mom to fuck off. He's always at a distance. Like I said, the overwhelming feeling of his op-eds is one of above it all snark, where he's just like, this is what the like dumb leftists think, the crazy leftists. I should do the Ben. I'm not doing the German accent when I'm reading this stuff, but like I should do the Ben Shapiro voice because that's just how he talks.
Yeah, I'd imagine that at least.
So even though he has a deeply reactionary like kernel to him, he often doesn't like let it out. Sometimes the mask slips, like with Girl It's a Park.
Homie, just like.
But when he does his
Go
argumentation, he always goes back to the rules and what's the lead and just like certain things like that. But you can sense something's wrong. This next article is a good example. Okay. This one's called, the category is controversy over border controls. The headline, who's the real enemy of the Constitution here?
Oh God, fuck off.
Horst Seehofer is considered the madman from Bavaria in dispute with the Chancellor over asylum policy. The Minister of the Interior merely wants German law to be enforced again at the border. This is for people who don't know. Can someone explain Horst Seehofer for our listeners who don't know the situation?
I mean, Horst Seehofer is like just a old.
He's Jan Fleischhauer if he like tried hard and didn't think like I can just write and that's a cool profession to have. If he's like took his reactionary stuff seriously and was like I'm gonna go fuck up the world.
Yeah, like Horst, exactly that. I don't think there's a better way to describe him. He's not anymore. No, he stepped down.
So he's the former Minister of the Interior. And he ascended to that role just in the new government, right?
Yeah.
So
and
he's from
he's been leaving his mark of just being the furthest right that you can be without being the AFD, but he would probably be an AFD member if like he was 30 years younger. And he's part of the CSU, which is, if no one knows, in Germany there's a very complex structure between these two parties. One in Bavaria called the CSU, that is the Christian Social Union. Those three things they are definitely not. And the CDU, which is the Christian Democratic Union. And they're one party that then functions as two, which also equates to much more funding for them, which in my opinion is why they're so popular in both, national and local Bavarian elections. Just they got that sweet money flowing in. But Horst Seehofer has been a member of that party for fucking ever, and has been always trying to push Merkel and just the CDU in general further right.
Yeah, so the general dynamic to understand here is that the CSU, which just represents Bavaria, which is generally considered like further to the right than the rest of Germany on average, that they are pulling the rest of the CDU and Merkel, who's this kind of like centrist who like takes positions from everybody, pulling them further to the right. So as the Minister of the Interior, he's been developing a very reactionary migrant policy, and this op-ed is about that. But Jan Fleischhauer, the clever little paper-thin mask over his fascism that he is, doesn't just say, I agree with Horst Seehofer. He has to say, like,
well, actually, if you look at the Constitution, Horst Seehofer is the one following the rules, and Angela Merkel, who's so, like, given so much praise by the media. I hate that they're giving this fucking woman so much praise. She's the one breaking the law. She's breaking the law. She's bad. Mommy bad.
That's it. That's all he doesn't say I love Horst Seehofer. He just says, if you look at the Constitution, that's more legal. So who's the real idiot here? I hate this guy. He also says that like 62% of I have to find the exact quote. He's like in like defending Seehofer over Merkel, because he often brings up, he's like, the media is so leftist, so left-wing, they love Merkel, when really the German people are behind Seehofer. And he's like, 62% of the German people support these border restrictions.
Sorry, you have to back up for a second. There was a thing about
mommy bad.
It was a little bit after that, but okay. Fuck, I don't got anything. Shit.
Should I just move on?
Yeah,
It's gonna come back. We're gonna keep cycling around.
Yeah.
Rapid fire. Okay. Why African art is best served in Europe. What does it say about us if we assume that cultural goods...
What
does it say about us if we assume that cultural goods are not properly protected in their countries of origin? Well, what does it say? It means that we know Africa.
Stop. You know how Germany knows Africa is by literally
by colonizing it?
No, literally having the precursor of the fucking Holocaust there.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like,
that's not colonizing.
Yeah, I know,
that is beyond that.
That's kind of like,
yo. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have no comment on that aside from the fact that a German telling... What the fuck? Holy shit.
It's funny you mentioned the Holocaust.
Oh God, no. Does he have a fucking woke take on the Holocaust?
Is it okay to make jokes about Jews?
Well, yeah, but
let me just read it.
How many Jewish friends does he have? One?
When we know that we should not do something, there is a voice within us that says, do it, do it, do it, do it.
So he's like Emperor Palpatine then.
Is this the explanation? Wait, okay.
Do it.
Is this the explanation of why so many Germans fall out of the role when they meet a Jew? Now, okay, that's the direct translation.
Wait, what?
I had to look up what aus der Rolle fallen means, and it kind of means like to lose yourself or misbehave, but I like to just mean like you just wild out. Like, why do so many Germans just wild out when they meet a Jew?
The fact that that is a sentence regardless of in German or English, but that is a sentence produced by someone in Germany. Holy shit! What is wrong with this guy?
I would tell you stuff from the articles, but they're just dumb. It's the same formula. He opens with some dumb little intro and then transitions and then ends with like, and that's why
I hate my mother.
I don't know. Like for me, it's like all the worst Holocaust jokes I know come from my friends who are Jewish, and they fucking think that shit's hilarious, and they know that like it comes from the sense of it being horrible for them, obviously, but in the sense that then comedy for them is something that they can like reflect on that and then, you know, kind of have a collective memory about too at the same time, like not being just like, I don't know, Catholic about it and just beating themselves over it.
But like,
I don't know, but it's yeah, for you as a German it probably is different, but
yeah, I mean, because the jokes I know come from horrible people I went to class with.
Yeah.
That were
And
very
that's-
much into
and that's
like
bad.
Nazi stuff.
That is bad.
And
Like
shit
that
like
is
that.
that is
You know, like
genuinely
little
bad.
boys that will listen to Schranz and shit like that and drink and go to Go Park and stuff like that. I don't know, like bros.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
bros, but they
That's
would
bad.
make like
That is
Hitler
like
jokes
when
and,
that's like
and
when white kids in the U.S. make jokes
Exactly.
about black people.
yeah, or say the N word
Yeah.
or something.
Or say the
like
N
that.
word, exactly. And
Yeah,
if
so
you
that is If
Yeah.
I see that, I would like to punch them in the face. And
good, as you should,
Yeah.
but there's this like
but that's different.
But the reason I looked up is because, so in the article, he actually says a lot like, okay, most jokes I hear from Germans about Jews are not funny. And as case in point, he brings up someone he has a little bit of a beef with. Now, to back up, the thing about Jan Fleischhauer, if you haven't picked it up, is that he kind of he doesn't say it, but he kind of considers himself a comedian. Like, I think he thinks of himself as like so smart, and he should be this world famous person that everyone thinks is a genius comedian. That's why he has a little bit of a beef with Jan Böhmermann. And so in this article, he brings up Jan Böhmermann making
why do you have to
anti-Semitic
bring the
jokes.
two greatest minds of Germany together? On
Yeah, I'm
one?
just like, fuck. I just let them fight. I don't.
This
give
is
a
fucking
fuck.
like this is like Watch the Throne, but for German shit comedy. Or what's that one?
Listeners, would it surprise you that most German comedy sucks?
Yeah, no, I'm taken back right
totally
now.
does suck. Most of it.
Yeah.
Should we move on?
Yeah, we should. But, oh, God, what the fuck? This dude just pissing me off. And the more that I drink, the angrier I'm getting, which should not be the fact. It should be the exact opposite. I should be finding this funny, but I'm not.
You can tell he likes picking like he loves to troll. He's a troll. He's a comedian. He loves to pick the right thing, whether it's toxic femininity or is it okay to make jokes about Jews? He just does that. Okay. Next up at Abonnieren Sie auf PewDiePie. No, sorry, I made that one up.
I appreciate that.
Okay,
I like how Rob has just destroyed our couch.
Am I destroying it?
Yeah, Rob, Rob is so dummy thick that our couch is like sideways now.
Okay, it's a small couch for the
You
record.
don't have to sit there. That's the thing. You can sit on the big boy couch.
I don't know. It's kind of, I feel like special over here.
You like to think, yeah, you are special, but like, damn, homie, you fucking so dummy thick that you broke our couch.
You know who else is dummy thick? Sometimes.
Who?
Okay, next op-ed. Where Trump is right.
Oh wait, what is Trump right about? Let's hear this fucking bird brain response.
Can we praise the American president? In China policy, you even have to do that. As far as our relations with China are concerned, we are dangerously naive. Hardly any other people thinks as nationalistically as the Chinese.
But no, wait, what is he talking about?
Oh, I'll tell you what he's talking
I mean,
about.
okay, to be fair, China's policies are nationalistic to a degree. Like, I'm not going to deny that, but it's in a different sense than... God damn it, you're going back to my fucking rant last week about how the West observes China as just this, like, Orientalist monster that then they just do not fucking want to understand.
Oh, what's that? Germany seeing China as an Orientalist monster? What I wonder if somebody could express those opinions so we have a good example of it.
Is it Jan Meat Beater?
So he says, blah, 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 Donald Trump, dumb shit. Okay. Now I'm going to read what he has to say about Trump and China.
Go off. I'm done.
For an inexplicable...
I'm so out right now.
I got to do the bench beer voice. But Jan Fleischhauer.
For an inexplicable reason, we in Germany look to China with great goodwill. On the occasion of the Chancellor's visit to Beijing recently, my colleague so-and-so described very beautifully how mildly and understandingly the Chancellor speaks about the Chinese president, which is somewhat astonishing when one considers how hard and intransigent she simultaneously judges Vladimir Putin. Okay. Compared with China, Russia is a friendly autocracy. Parliament is elected every 5 years, at least in theory. There are even opposition parties and something like free internet access. In China, on the other hand, you can be happy to be considered politically so inconspicuous that no one from above cares about you.
Do I have to do this fucking rant again that I did last week?
No, you don't have to.
Okay, because I'm not going to.
He loves Russia, apparently.
But, yeah, who doesn't love Russia? But to be fair, like, I don't... Just in a purely diplomatic sense. Again, I don't want to play this role like I did last week. But we don't have to look at China as being the fucking boogeyman that they are. It's just as simple as that. Germany meeting... Oh, you're plugging your nose. You're about to go off, aren't you? Yeah, just do it.
I admit I am biased about the Chinese.
So he's racist. He's just straight up fucking racist is what he said.
Sorry, it's hard to say. Die dreifach Klammern Chinose.
The what?
Like the triple parenthesis. I don't know how to say triple parentheses Chinese.
Oh, God. But, like...
Okay, so I'm not going to read this whole dumb story.
He just likes Putin because Putin's white.
Yeah, exactly.
That is
so
it.
He just tells some story about how he was on a state visit to China. And then they have like a dinner. And then food was served. Okay, I'll read it actually. I could have saved myself the trouble of making contact, as the course of the banquet showed. As soon as the speeches were finished, my neighbors turned their backs on me and played around with their smartphones. Then the food was served, which meant you had to make sure you got something on your plate. Then my conversation partners returned to the screen of their smartphones. A look at the other tables proved that I didn't have to take this personally. Interest in one's neighbor, even if it's only hypocrisy, doesn't seem to belong to the rules of courtesy that are internalized in the Middle Kingdom.
Ugh. God. You did this just to fucking torture me today.
I'm torturing not just you, I'm torturing all of our listeners.
And yourself.
I am your shield.
My God.
And so then he goes on about how the U.S. is the only people standing up to China.
No one needs to stand up to China. They're like, to be fair, China is having... All right, to be fair, within the country itself, yes, they should demand for, whatever they want in the terms of politically the shit against the regime that exists there. And typically it does come from the left. A lot of Americans disregard that a lot of the people who are against the government are further left than the government is. But for Christ's fucking sake, just shut up, Jan Meat Beater.
I'm just going to end, because this is one of those times where he just mind if I wild out. This is his final paragraph.
For some reason, we don't blame the Chinese. I suppose it has something to do with the Asian way. Asia is our home of deep wisdom and Buddhist contemplation. Often, you don't recognize your mistakes until it's too late.
Yeah, outside they're fucking going ham.
All right, this is the last one before I want to get into his sexual pathology, real deep. I don't even know if we want to talk about this. It's a whole thing about Khaled Said, and he never mentions Khaled Said because he's a little bitch. And it's he doesn't want to get roasted by them. This is the one. Okay, I'll read it. Today I received a mail from Bavaria. The sender introduced himself as a policeman in the Bavarian task force. His name doesn't matter, so I'll leave it out. I took up... I can't do Bavarian accent. Oh, yeah, I'll get there. I took up my profession 20 years ago, the officer wrote, because I was convinced then as now that it was important to protect the rule of law from the influence of extremists and criminals. He's quoting from the police officer. It makes me all the more stunned that the highest representatives of the state are not too sorry to count on the support of people who explicitly and unequivocally hate this state and its police in the hysterically inflated fight against the right. The fact that the federal president and the foreign minister need to express praise and appreciation for a band that glorifies violence against cops in their texts, I personally feel as a slap in the face.
Yo, he doesn't know what the Bavarian police are doing then, does he?
No, he doesn't. So the band they're talking about is this rap group Kaiz, K-I-Z.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah, Yulia can riff about them because they're pretty cool.
Yeah, so KIZ is a rap group from Berlin, and they're known to be quite left wing in like the stuff that they do, but they're also very offensive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I would say they're like Eminem if Eminem were actually like a leftist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're equally offensive, like quite like clever and rhymes.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Yeah.
And they're just
smart.
and
texts,
they themselves are just like full-blown socialists.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd say it so.
yeah.
So
They don't even
I
really hide it at all.
Yeah, they have songs jokingly talking about killing police officers, and Jan Fleischhauer is very mad about that, but never mentions it. He just sort of he's maybe above it, maybe he's just scared, but he doesn't mention that
Also,
in the
Kite
whole
said-
op-ed.
Is very much involved with Depatai, which is
True. Yeah.
the comedic
like
party that we talked
satire.
about.
I do have to read this line where he's talking about, okay, I recommend a simple test to anyone who thinks this is fine, these lines about killing cops. We simply should insert women or gays instead of the word cops.
Oh, fuck off! They're not the same. Do women and gays protect the state? No, they don't.
Wait, women, gays, and cops are the same.
Yeah.
I didn't know
actually,
I get money to like beat
gays
dumb
and women
people.
are braver than any other fucking cop that I know.
Yeah, well,
Unless they're women cops.
I
and
just
then
like to
this-
pepper spray people. Probably he sees like a similarity there that we.
And then
carry
he
around.
does a wild like twist, like a wild projection here, because then to end it, he says, he mentions this guy Ulf Poschardt. Do you know him? I actually want to talk about him too, but that's another episode. He's also anyway. So when he makes fun of the silly rhymes of the anti-fascist musical resistance, the reaction is not amusement at the punchlines of the lyrics, but indignation at the frivolity of someone making jokes about the imminent takeover of power from the right. That is perhaps the worst thing about political hysteria, the holy seriousness with which democracy is now being saved. Again, like 3 paragraphs ago, he was pissed that they had jokes about killing cops. To close his thing, to close his op-ed.
Can we do my favorite one right now then?
Let me close the op-ed.
Oh, I thought you meant like the episode. Sorry. Okay, yeah.
As Woody Allen says about the people from right and left, you should recognize them by their lack of humor.
Good person to reference in 2019.
Is it surprising that he mentions Woody Allen? Maybe it's because he has a lot of strong thoughts about Me Too. Would that surprise you folks?
No, of course
I don't
not.
think so. I'm not going to read the whole... Okay. We've been digging deep to try to find his sexual pathologies.
You've been digging deep. I've been sitting here just in fucking awe that you, first off, spent this much time with this shit fucking idiot. And second, that this shit idiot fucking exists.
We've been showing you like the indirect evidence, but he just lays it out here. I'm not even going to read the title. He's just saying Me Too, like it's a witch hunt against men and whatever.
Yo, Rob, like, how are you not a better student?
This is the whole paragraph.
The amount of research that you do is fucking stupid for this podcast.
Sex is generally not a good subject in the working environment. So he says, I don't make crude jokes to women. And he says, sex is generally not a good subject in the working environment. I would recommend. I do not want to hear about sauna experiences or swingers evenings, regardless of gender.
I mean, I do. That sounds fucking cool.
I already feel uneasy about the idea that the people I know kiss each other. Any public intimacy that goes beyond this is an imposition.
This is like that fucking Ben Shapiro thing when he was meeting with Rick. Dave Rubin.
Maybe.
There's that video that then's being pushed around Twitter right now again.
Yeah.
That happened a year ago, where he's like,
Two big ballers.
yeah, where
sitting
he's
down.
like, I wouldn't go to your anniversary. Where you gonna have an orgy, like a gay orgy? And the only thing I can think about is just like strapping Ben Shapiro down into fucking just a chair and putting him into the gayest club in Berlin, where they're just like pissing shit on each other and just having Ben Shapiro
You're saying as if
watch.
that is a bad thing.
What? No, it's fucking cool. And just Ben Shapiro just like watching all of his like deepest, darkest fantasies being just like happening right in front of him, because I know that deep down inside he just wants to have just like
He just wants to put those trainers on and go to snacks
He
party
does,
on Easter,
like,
on Passover.
yeah,
Sorry.
you know that Ben Shapiro deep down inside just like wants to dress like a fucking little gay thought and just get rammed. And because the way that he fucking talks to Dave Rubin is like, you know that he wants gay orgies. He fucking wants that.
Just embrace it, bro.
Yeah, and it's like,
seriously.
Stop being
Sounds
a fucking
awesome.
fascist.
Yeah.
Jan
I mean,
Fleischhauer, stop being a fascist too.
Yeah,
yeah,
seriously.
and it's just like whenever I hear these things, they're just like these really just. It just sounds like a guy who just does not want to come to the fact that, like, you want this, do it. It's cool. Like, there in Berlin, there's safe spaces for you to fucking go ham, and just to fucking fuck everything that you want within a safe space. I'm not insulting any gay people. It's fucking cool that you have a place in Berlin to do that.
I know.
Yeah, like that is fucking liberating and awesome.
I know.
You know, like where else do you have a place that you can go and just like
Do whatever
express
you want.
yourself and
Yeah,
do whatever
I know,
you
I know,
want?
exactly.
You know, and then you can go into this place. You can go fucking wild. You can do, you know, you can strap Ben Shapiro down to a chair and piss on him, make him a little piss pig, and then go home, and then like as if like nothing happened.
You can finally go beast mode.
Yeah,
You've always
you
wanted
can-
to.
yeah,
With
it-
consent, you beast
Yeah,
mode
yeah.
on people
Well,
with their consent.
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Well, you know, general
Yeah.
consent. And
But
then,
like, where else can you do that? You know, like Ben Shapiro, come to Berlin, get pissed on, be a little piss pig, please.
if only it were that easy.
Of course not.
One more.
And Jan Fleischhauer, please. Like, your name's perfect for a gay club.
Can a woman rape a man?
I don't know.
We love it. You knew he was all over this story because Jan Fleischhauer. This is
Oh God,
this is his shit.
homie, stop beating your meat.
The actress Asia Argento, I don't know how to say her name, Argento, is said to have sexually abused a 17-year-old. The initiators of the gender debate. This needs the voice.
The initiators of the gender debate catch up with her failure to distinguish between the serious and the infantile.
So now he's like, boom, me too. Owned you by your own logic. You're the real sexual assaulters.
God, fuck off.
The one thing, this is just classic. This is actually like old man sexual pathology, not as much this like Ben Shapiro one. But he says, of course,
I can't help myself, but the first thing I thought when I read the description of the events, which are now considered to be serious abuse, was, and the boy asked for compensation afterwards? Most 17-year-olds would consider it a stroke of luck to rid an older woman of the hormonal disorders associated with late puberty.
This is just a South Park episode. That is it. It's the one where Ike gets like has a relationship with his teacher, and they're all just like, nice.
the other thing about his, like we've been saying throughout, that even though he is just like the fascism is just right underneath his surface. He doesn't out and like explain his conservative beliefs. He's just always analytical, commentator, comedian, talking about it. He doesn't engage it. And
Funny
part of the
guy.
reason for that is he thinks that nobody has a view of the future. The left doesn't actually have a view of the future. They just want to think they're better than themselves, better than you. No one, he thinks, has a view of the future. So what happens when someone has a view of the future and maybe they're a child that he thinks he cares about so much. Would it surprise you that he is really, really mad at Greta Thunberg? Really mad.
No, doesn't surprise me at all.
So these are just two. Again, it hasn't been around that long, but he has two op-eds talking about Greta.
What, that she should go back to school or something like that?
It's worse than that.
Oh, God.
Well, okay. The first thing is that most of his focus are on journalists, particularly women journalists, who are like, oh, they're caught in this rapture about Greta, and they're just like lose all sense of logic and reason, and they just think, oh, she's this messiah figure. His last op-ed is actually called it's called The Book of Greta, and goes into all of this. And so when he actually so one of them, in typical Fleischhauer fashion, he opens with one dumb story and transitions to a different dumb story. So he starts with one dumb story about an AfD politician trying to do a moment of silence for this 14-year-old girl who was killed by an asylum seeker in Wiesbaden. And then he says that's an unfair emotional appeal. Like, he agrees with the SPD. He's sort of acting like, actually, I agree with the SPD because that's against the rules of the Senate. You're not allowed to do that. And then he says another unfair emotional appeal is Greta Thunberg telling people that they're bad. And then he says, actually, and the Greens are always flying anyway.
Well, the Greens do suck, but whatever.
But like Greta Thunberg, like, again,
a kid,
a 16-year-old who actually is like inspiring other kids, and maybe has a kid. So whatever you say that she doesn't have a full vision of the world, first of all, she has more than you, and she has more of a vision of the future than you, and she definitely believes in the future more than Jan Fleischhauer. And when he's confronted with that, when he's confronted with someone who actually isn't this like horribly nihilistic like person who wants to just, if he like in his head he has the scenes from Death Wish and everything playing through his mind, that's his fucking Kopfkino. When he's engaged with that, he has to just be pissed off. Exhibit A. This is what he says about Greta Thunberg. Again, remember what he said, his care about children, especially children who he thinks are like, oh, they want to be left behind because they're unhealthy. With Greta Thunberg, it has to be added that she is not considered healthy. At the age of 11, Greta became depressed, according to her family, and developed a severe eating disorder.
Yo, who isn't depressed though? Like for real.
Exactly. Then she was diagnosed with Asperger's, a disorder from the autism group. Greta explains that Asperger's syndrome helped her to tackle the fight against climate change because she sees the world without grayscales. I don't know if that translation was right. Conversely, this only means that special consideration must be given to them.
But Asperger's doesn't mean that you...
In the next,
whatever, never mind.
The next op-ed, he mentions, again, when he's just going off, when he's just murking...
so he hates autistic
women
people.
Journalists. He says, according to Petra Kelly, I don't know who she is, the mythical founding figure of the environmental movement, her sister's death from cancer had led her to believe in ecology, in zum Öko-Glauben. What cancer was for Kelly is autism for Thunberg, which makes her see things more clearly than others.
Just stop. He uses someone's autism as a crutch for them of why they can't have an opinion.
Yeah.
What a fucking horrible person. Autism doesn't make you enabled to, like, it doesn't make you political. Like, no disability makes
you way cooler than Jan Fleischhauer.
Yeah, but still, like, you can be fully functioning and be autistic.
I know, it's dark. Because
that's absolutely disgusting.
I know this
because he just ends up sounding like a fucking Nazi at the end who just wants to exterminate
what a shocker that
people.
We started with him wanting to exterminate all the drug dealers in Görlitzer Park, and we end with him.
No, I'm sorry. Like, this guy's a fucking Nazi prick who then is just using someone's disability who they fucking done, regardless of the disability they have or not, has done something really fucking cool and has created a dialogue about something that most other teenagers have failed to do. Not that teenagers are specifically smart or anything like that, but that this guy is using his old Nazi rhetoric about why these people don't deserve a political voice. Like, if people forgot, the Nazis also murdered you if you were disabled, and autism is a disability under this Nazi rhetoric. And in my opinion, it just comes down that he's a fucking Nazi. Just through and through.
Yep.
He's a piece of shit. And the fact that any fucking publication gives him, you know, the space that he has to fucking preach his bullshit is like, they're scum too. Go fuck all of them. This is just depressing now at this point. I'm not amused anymore. I'm just mad.
Yeah.
I hate this fucking country so much sometimes because I see shit like this. Just
he spends, and you can't even say, like, even though he spends most of his time acting above it all, if he's just challenged, I was saying before, what's the old saying? If you scratch a liberal, a fascist bleeds. But this here is, you scratch someone who, like, a snarky conservative who pretends to be above politics, just a wild and out Nazi appears.
Yeah.
Just the littlest scratch.
Yeah.
Just Greta Thunberg getting too much attention in the news.
He becomes a fucking full-blown, we have to, like, you know, euthanize the entire fucking population who isn't pure. And that is what he pretty much is asking for, regardless of it being, like, actual death camps, but he just does not want to have an opinion, which for some people would be death camps. So
I'm sure he wouldn't be opposed to that.
no, fuck this guy. He's a fucking piece of shit. I hate him so much. Why did you show him to me? My life was so much better before I
showed him to you because
this is so bad.
he needs to be harassed on Twitter. He doesn't get any harassment. I think we do need to end. That's way too
we
dark
gotta end with this
on.
because this is the only one that I actually read, and I just loved how fucking stupid he was.
So now, okay, whew, I think we might need to put a little break in there, like, dude,
yeah.
like to get people
you
like.
You thought you were oppressed, inserting whatever person you are who lives in Germany or in Europe or in the United States. You're not. Jan Meatbeater is going to tell you that you're a fucking pussy, and the people who are actually the most oppressed are East Germans, which, to be fair, he's kind of right about something. East Germans are second-class citizens. But then he tries to go on this whole shtick about how, like, they're more oppressed than refugees? I don't know.
Okay.
It became weird.
So hopefully you've been listening to the whole episode. Hopefully you haven't just become so depressed at just these fucking Nazis. But maybe you have a sense of his style. Like we've said, that he doesn't actually care about anything. He's deeply nihilistic, and that he considers himself above it all. And that all he loves to do is he wants to troll. He wants to troll the Antifa. And then if he's challenged even a little bit, he just freaks the fuck out. Whether it's like Müller, the Berlin mayor, like doing something, or Greta Thunberg.
Who is Hugo Chavez, apparently.
Yeah. But yeah, you get a sense that he just really wants to like use the liberal, the SPD, the cosmopolitan left, those
Fucking bitch women.
He wants to use their logic against them. And I brought up this one article. We'll put it in the show notes. Just so you have a little taste of Fleischhauer, you have a taste of his beaten meat, of just kind of his style and how we want to point out how there's another way, and that his critiques a third way, as we always say on this show, there is a third way on the third way Späti.
Stop soon. This is because this article that he wrote is like one part kind of woke. It's the only wokeness that I've gotten from him the entire time. Is that then like, okay, as we stated before, that like East Germans are treated as second class citizens within their own country, but you can't use that as a point of then like, oh, they are more discriminated against than people who aren't from this country. That simply is not true. And he tries to go and equate that to then like that they're worse off than the Muslim community in this country.
Jan Fleischhauer takes an extremely bad faith, simplistic reading of identity politics and says,
this is all
what is identity politics?
This is all that's available to you. There's nothing else. There's no hope. There's no future.
Like, and then he's trying to pull you into that gravity.
Even the left, there's no future here too. Let me show you how dumb it is.
But he's wrong. He's fucking dumb. He takes a a point that's like the East Germans
It's
like,
true.
are worse off than West Germans,
Yeah.
and then he just tries to drain all hope from your body because he just wants to pull everyone down to the same
And then he
sad
uses,
fucking sack of shit that he
uses
is.
identity politics in this like white nationalist sort of bullshit thing. Is that if these two groups are oppressed, regardless of what level of oppression they're at, like there could still be a collective, like a collective movement that they surround themselves around, which would be socialism. But no, Jan fucking, Dick Jackoffer has to fucking go off and make it that white people are more of a priority than people who aren't white, and that's disgusting.
Okay, the op-ed. It's from April 4th, so pretty recent. It's the
2
newest
weeks
one of
ago.
all the ones we've read, but everything's been in the past year. It's called I Simply Discriminated Against. Everyone today is marginalized in a certain way.
That really cool fucking Despicable Me movie.
That brings with it a particular identity as a woman, a migrant, or sexually marginalized. To be precise, even the author of this column belongs to a discriminated minority.
Ooh,
So-
what white males?
Classic Fleischhauer. Now, like, you got his style. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
Let's chop this shit up. The East German is the Muslim of the West.
No,
He does not feel taken seriously.
No.
He suffers from the fact that people consider him unwilling to integrate. Economically, he sees himself as being left behind, socially disadvantaged. He basically feels the same way as the immigrant from Turkey, even if he would reject the settlement. He can do what he wants. Even after 30 years in the country, he remains a foreigner who has never really become open to the majority society.
No. Like, yes, to a very small degree, but they're not as oppressed as people from Turkey.
Well, this hinges on what his argument hinges on. I'm going to skip this part, but then there's some new study that shows what how East Germany, are they left behind, they're discriminated against in choice, whatever. Today, everyone is marginalized in a certain way, which is what the particular identity as a woman, foreigner, or sexually marginalized person brings with it. Discrimination is always a question of context. To be precise, even I belong to a discriminated group.
Me too.
Some will laugh now when they read this, but I have the evidence on my side.
No, you don't.
In Spiegel, people who do not place their cross reliably with the Greens or the SPD are clearly in the minority.
Well,
Take a look at the series of columnists. All people who are more or less on the left prove this every week. Do not believe that it would always be easy to work under these conditions. I am sure that there are a number of colleagues who consider me to be backward and unwilling to integrate.
Yeah,
If you-
because you're a Nazi.
If you
so-
like, I am the Muslim of Spiegel.
fuck off, God. Ugh,
What is identity politics?
Now you're getting to that. You already fucking figured it out. You fucking white
Identity
nationalist.
politics is the promise that what you encounter in life as adversity can be traced back to your origins. If I am female or black or somehow different from the others around me, then I can assume that it is not the actual inadequacy that prevents me from progressing, but the prejudice structure of the majority.
Actually, to be fair, that's a pretty decent critique of like neoliberal identity politics. Like, he isn't wrong about that, and that's why neoliberal identity politics is stupid, because there's a deeper thing with it that is class that then encapsulates itself around race and
Or
where you're
manifests
from.
itself in race. You
Yeah,
could say.
absolutely. Like how, like in the sense of like, you know, I like going off on this because I find it so weird. Is like European race theory and whatnot is like batshit insane compared to the U.S. because you don't have chattel slavery to you know, manifest that and to continuate it throughout American history. Where in Europe it's like, oh, the fucking Serbs or the whoever Eastern European dipshits are the reason. Well, why did I pick Serbians? They're actually like the most normal of the Eastern Europeans. But you know, like the Turks, the Greeks, the Italians, the race science that then like that continuously has like reformed itself isn't around like solely skin color, you know. But the fact that he's trying to make it in the sense of like a geographical thing that then is of German history is like one part kind of true, but then the same part not equivalent to if you're not a white German.
He's just trying to drag you down. He's trying to pull you in. He's just he's dragging you to hell. He won't let you out. It is. I don't even know which parts to read. This is just a random part. While the proportion of female and homosexual students are clearly overrepresented today, the proportion for children whose parents have a lower secondary school leaving certificate is less than 10%. Gotta pick one or the other. Are you with the females and homosexuals? Or are you
Wait,
with the
what
proportion
if
of
I'm-
children?
What if I'm female and
It's just. Which is. Okay, we're talking about him arguing disingenuously.
I just don't. You know what?
I have no idea how you're
Just put the article down. I think that this. I think we got his point. He's fucking dumb.
But okay, let's just finish with this. We talk about him arguing disingenuously. Here is the pic de resistance. In the 1960s, he's quoting from the author of the thing he referenced before. In the 1960s, the so-called class question was a central motive of the student movement.
Which is still true. But
In the 1970s, the women's question, and since the beginning of the new millennium, the issue of diversity came to the fore. As a result, social origin has become the forgotten side of the diversity discourse. End quote. Back to Fleischhauer. After all, the East German has now experienced the long-awaited appreciation as a recognized victim group. If a home for foreigners in Rostock or Pirna is about to burn, it must be seen as a reaction to the experience of devaluation to which the marginalized who have come from Eastern Germany are exposed. Rudi Dutschke already knew that in view of the violence of the system, the violence of the individual is always only an expression of his despair.
cool that he ends with.
That's his like
Dutschke,
QED
just
by your own logic, because he's like, the left, you have to love these racists.
You have to love the racists who you say you hate because you hate me, and therefore I'm going to own you with logic.
It doesn't have to be this way, folks.
No, because you
Do
could,
not.
I mean, one easy thing is not to read him, which you probably don't already, so don't start. But yeah, I don't fucking.
Don't let anyone tell you that oh, you don't care about this and you need to care about that. He doesn't understand what actual leftism is. And
He's not a leftist, of course
exactly.
not.
But like, you can't let him define the terms. And it's not just him, because this argument is all too familiar. This whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
You're caring about this group over this group, or like, actually, as a white German, this is how Germans sound to me. Actually, as a white German, like, I went to China and they said I was weird, and so I feel racism too. Like, that's what most. That's a common thought and a common feeling, and all Jan Fleischhauer wants to do is just keep muddying that water. He loves that shit. He says he doesn't, but he loves it. He loves all of the.
He's a fucking dirty ass
He
hoe.
loves it, and you just can't let him just
No.
do that. You can't let him. You can't pay him any attention. He is a fucking Nazi who is just waiting for the moment to pop off.
Who's masked in academic conservatism, simply put, which is very, like, that is a transatlantic.
The real promise
Sort of thing.
of quote unquote identity politics is that understanding identity as understanding identity as a vehicle for radical politics. That's been cut out of all quote unquote identity politics across the world, across the West, I should say. That's not because that's because of a long history of conservatives tearing out that like radical portion of identity politics and just leaving you with this and saying, see, this is what you wanted. But that's not actually what identity can be. Identity should be a revolutionary vehicle that you understand the world and the class struggle of the world through your particular identity.
I think that's a good point to end on then.
Yeah.
Okay. So since it's Good Friday today, I don't know why you guys call it Good Friday. It's because Jesus died. That's a great thing. We call it Karfreitag. I don't know why either. But stuff that is forbidden in Germany is, for example, we have a Tanzverbot, so it's not allowed to dance or go out and dance. It depends on the state, of course, that you're in Germany. But there's other stuff that is also forbidden. It's movies in the theater that don't have like a serious character in them. So you can't watch comedy on Good Friday. Anything that disturbs the silence of this day. So like like moving, the piece of the day. So like moving, for example, or getting rid of all your glasses, like your glass bottles and stuff. And there's another one. Wait. It is. For example, you can watch The Life of Brian on Friday, Karfreitag on Good Friday.
You can't watch it?
You can't watch it, no. And sporting events are also forbidden. So, yeah, that's some fun stuff.
Yeah, so don't
Alright.
be heathenistic, and you should celebrate the true Easter, which is actually next weekend. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see you guys next week for...
We got a fucking live stream. Let's do it, baby.
Woo! We'll see you guys next week for what is true Easter, which is Greek Easter. So, I'm going to prepare a feast, and I'll share it with all of you.
Hell yeah. Also, it's 420. Blaze it.